Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to episode 30 of the Inside Drive podcast. Excited to have you guys join us today. Lots of football talk today with Max Daleiden. We're going to talk about his new business here too in just a second. But we'll also have Keith Fleming. We're going to flip it up and I'm going to ask him the questions today, see how he does. Of course, he'll give you his official DFS lineup for week 15 as well. Playoff start this week for most people in fantasy football. So hopefully you guys made your team, all that good stuff. But first, before we get to Max and some of our other great topics, got to talk about Golf Plus. Any golfers in Bay County that want to improve their score, head over to Golf Plus. It's the only place in Bay County with the tools and expertise to help you. Golf Plus has been featured in both Golf and Golf Digest magazine as one of the top club fitters in the country. Their fitting studio will blow you away with the selections of brands and models of clubs and all the shafts you could possibly want to try. Their putting green is also filled with all the latest and greatest brands that you could want. The repair shop, second to none. Tour van quality repairs every time and fast too. Golf Plus is the fitting studio and your fitting studio and repair shop on the beach. Renovations have been finished. A second simulator has been installed. Lots of opportunities to get fit or even just book some simulator time to play some golf at other places all around the world. It's been raining a lot here. Thankfully, now the rain is done, but it's been very, very cold. So if you're not going out on a real golf course, you can always go over to Golf Plus and play some simulator golf. Their holiday sales are rocking and rolling as we speak. They got 25% off all junior gloves that make a great gift for your child if he or she is into golf. And then, of course, 20% off all in-stock shoes. They are located there in the shops at Edgewater next to Firefly. Give them a call at 850-249-2726 or online at golfplusretail.com. Max, how are we doing today?
Doing well, thanks.
Excellent. Before we dive into some stuff, I do want to let everybody know we have a great bowl pool contest going on. If you just check out our Facebook page, I think it's a couple posts ago. If you just check that out, click the link. It's the Inside Drive Podcast Bowl Pool. The password to get in, if you click the link, you shouldn't have to put in the password, is IDBP, Inside Drive Bowl Pick'em. But again, we got that going on. I'm going to give a big shout out to Dave over at Firefly for providing the first place prize, which is a $100 gift card to Firefly. And if y'all have never been to Firefly before, you're missing out. Some of the best food in our area, certainly the best service in our area, but it's not just fancy fine dining steaks, fish. They also have some of the best sushi in our area as well. So again, appreciate Dave and Firefly for donating that $100 gift card for our Bowl Pick'em prizes. Share that link too. Let's get this Bowl Pick'em up as big as we possibly can. Don't forget also, you got American Charlie's. I'm going to do one American Charlie's Athlete of the Week for last week and this week. I got one gift card left, so we're going to combine it into 2 weeks. We'll announce that next week, and we will be doing shows next week, the 16th and the 18th. I will be taking off the 23rd and the 25th, naturally, as that day is Christmas. So a few more shows to finish out the rest of the year, and I'll have one more American Charlie's Athlete of the Week. They are also located in the shops at Edgewater. Apparently, the shops at Edgewater, it's where all my sponsors come from. Right next to Rocket Lanes and Firefly. They have great daily specials. Holiday parties still available there at American Charlie's. They got lots of private rooms they can put you in. You want to, if you haven't booked one yet, there still is time. And then, of course, 15 TVs throughout the restaurant for all your college and NFL games. 15% off all the time for military and first responder discounts. They got all the classic American dishes, fried chicken, pot roast specials, wings, burgers, shrimps, obviously all those classic American dishes. Again, you can visit them at AmericanCharlies.com. More active on their Facebook page, American Charlies. And of course, as Dave always says, gift cards make great presents, whether it's American Charlies or Firefly. If you're looking for a last-minute gift or just a gift for the food lover in your family, those gift cards make great presents. All right, real quick, Max, tell us, you started a new business. What is that all about? What's it called? Where can people find out your information?
Yeah, Coastal Haven Lending, actually based out of the great Beach House Sales and Development Office, right down the road from my house, actually. Same thing that I was in.
For
it
sure.
is very convenient. I can walk to the mailbox. Appreciate the shout out, Ryan. It's same thing I was doing, just our own company now, mortgage brokerage. And
good for you.
So nice to break off, and it's been really fun so far. So
always nice to make money for yourself and not somebody else.
It is.
That's
So it's been fun, and a
it
little more
be.
flexibility, a little more competitiveness. So
and perfect timing again. Congratulations! You guys just had a beautiful baby daughter.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Baby Madeline. Shout out to her on the show.
Absolutely. You got to give shout outs to your babies. Life a little different now?
It is.
Not sleeping as much?
It's crazy, though. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like what you said, the thing about, you're thinking about things you never thought you'd think about,
Yep,
like
absolutely.
pumping breast milk. Just, it's a surreal love, though. I know,
that's a first. We said breast on the inside drive. So you got to break that
Clay
ice.
Travis.
Yeah, there you go. We're going to talk about the college football playoff bracket, which has obviously been the main topic of all podcasts, sports shows, Facebook chats, all that good stuff. Because there was, a few things that might have been a little controversial, for lack of a better term. But real quick, we'll just go through it. Obviously, Max, you're a big Indiana guy, Indiana alum, and they certainly looked really good in the Big Ten championship. In my opinion, I think Mendoza, won the Heisman with that performance. We'll talk about the Heisman here in just a little bit, but Indiana beating Ohio State bumped them up to number 1 in the college football playoff bracket. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. And number 4, your Big 12 championship winner, Texas Tech. Any issues with those first 4?
I don't think so. I think that's fine. I know some people wanted Georgia to jump to 2, but I think 2 undefeated teams playing, and I know
if you don't have a loss, you have to be 1 and 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And if your loss is in the Big Ten championship game, you can't really be punished for that. Although some teams didn't get punished and some teams did. We'll talk about that here in just a second.
I was going to say, when is it a direct correlation of a data point, and when is it not?
Yeah, that's where I think people see a lot of frustration. Number 5, Oregon, no issue there. They had a great season, except when Indiana came into Autzen Stadium and beat them.
That's a sweet stadium.
It is. It's a tough atmosphere to play in as well. Even though it's not huge, it's very, very loud the way they had the stadium designed. Number 6, Ole Miss, basically was kind of hanging out there all the way through the college football playoff.
Do you think they're a lame duck? Or do you think they still have some fire to them with Golden?
I think they. I think that I talked about this on last Thursday. Ole Miss. Florida State got punished for not having a quarterback. Ole Miss didn't get punished for not having their head coach. We'll see if it makes a difference. They already waxed Tulane earlier this year, so you assume they'll win that game. And then I think Georgia's defense will really, really slow down the Rebels' offense in that one. So Ole Miss 6. They take on number 11 Tulane. Tulane was the American Athletic Conference champion, and they were higher ranked than the ACC Conference Championship champion. I don't even know if Duke made the top 25. I would imagine they would have had to. But so Ole Miss and Tulane, that's your 6 and 11 seed. And then Texas A&M, who was 1 win away from making the SEC championship, got that one spoiled by the University of Texas. They take on number 10 seed Miami, who a lot of people think Miami shouldn't have been in there, but apparently head-to-head wins mean more than everything when you've got everything else pretty much the same. So Miami got in there at number 10, and then you got the 8-9 matchup, Oklahoma, who's kind of been in the college football playoff there for a while now. And then the one I not as many people are, maybe they are, I don't know. I have more issue with Alabama being in there than I do Miami being in there.
Yeah.
Alabama on their way to the college football playoff. Alabama's last 5 FBS games, they lost by 7, or they won by 7 against 4-8 South Carolina. They beat 7-5 LSU by 11. They lost to Oklahoma at home. They beat 5-7 Auburn by 7, and then they lost to Georgia by 21. They haven't beaten a current top 25 team in 63 days. So I have more of an issue with Alabama getting in there. I know that's not a very popular opinion, but hopefully, ball don't lie, and Oklahoma will get the win in that one, and then Oklahoma will go on to play number 1 ranked Indiana. What do you think about Alabama getting in there?
Yeah, obviously, with my Big Ten ties, I don't have any, hate or malice towards Bama necessarily directly, but I do think,
me.
Yeah, which is fair. I get it. Like it's a loud fan base. But I do think, at what point do we start valuing because like what you said with BYU, obviously that was taken into consideration.
Yeah, BYU has 1 loss to Texas Tech going into the conference championship game. And if Bama doesn't get penalized for losing their conference championship game, why did BYU get knocked out of the rankings when they've been there the whole time?
Right.
That's a tough one for me to swallow too. I just think that, Bama hasn't been playing. Obviously BYU, they got wrecked by Texas Tech. Texas Tech's a top 4 college football playoff team. And that's the only team they lost to, and I don't know about their strength of schedule and all that stuff, but it just seems like for one team, it's different than for the other team. And then the Miami Notre Dame situation, obviously all their stuff was very, very similar. So apparently they put the head-to-head win stuff as the deciding factor there. So Notre Dame gets left out. If they finish in the top 12 next year, they will make it because they have this MOU thing, which seems kind of BS to me,
how's that legal?
where they just automatically will get into the playoff if they're in the top 12. And I think next year it goes to 16, right? If I'm not mistaken. I could be.
Is it, or is it one more year of 12?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Either next year and I think I read something too, because Notre Dame they have to be in the top 12 though, not the top 16. So it could be just the top 12, but I don't know how you get something like that. That seems kind of,
that's officially signed off on too?
Yep,
for 16?
they signed it, I believe this year earlier, might've been last year, but yeah,
really,
if they make the top 12, they are in, unlike this year where they did not get in. Alabama obviously got in there, and then Miami was the team that it was basically down to Alabama, Notre Dame, and Miami. And because Miami had the head-to-head win against Notre Dame, I guess that's why they got them in there. Anything you would have done differently with those college football rankings? I know a lot of people have issue too with JMU and Tulane getting in there, but that's the criteria. The top 5 conference, the top 5 ranked conference champions get in. I mean, it's not like they got in the top 4 like one team did last year.
Yeah.
But that was the criteria. So they changed that criteria a little bit. But I mean, Tulane and JMU, it's not like they're slouches. I mean, I watched a lot of JMU games this year, and they've got a really high-powered offense, and their defense is halfway decent. Will they beat Oregon? I doubt it. But will they at least hang in that game for a little bit? Maybe for one half. And, everybody was giving, Bama too credit for, they said that one of the best wins was when they went to Georgia on the road and beat Georgia. Do you remember that game? They got absolutely dominated in the second half. They won the first half and then didn't do anything in the second half. And Georgia almost came back and won that game. So, yeah, is it a good win on paper? Absolutely. But if you actually dive into that game, it wasn't like they, led from the beginning and won all the way through and beat Georgia on the road. They almost gave that game away on the road, which, probably would have changed a lot of things. Obviously, they probably wouldn't have been in the playoff.
It wasn't tip-to-tip domination. Who is JMU's one loss again? Do you remember?
I want to say it's like Virginia or somebody like that.
I think you're right. And then their other, it's not a P5 game, but it's one of the 2 forgottens of the RIP Pac-12 is I know they beat Washington State by 4. And so that's their biggest knock. I know people are saying, like, well, this is the biggest thing is, like, you want these games as your first round games where the spreads are double digit and then high double. It's like 16.5 or 17 and 21.5. And I do think, James Madison might have some teeth to them, but still it's hard because it's not like, and I don't know if we're going to have this problem with NCAA March Madness with NIL money ruining a lot of the Cinderella stories, but last year definitely was the case. So we'll see. And obviously people want to root for the underdog, but I don't see either of these teams really. Yeah. And I don't think that's a hot take.
No.
By any means, but.
Absolutely not. But, that's what the criteria was. So if they want that to not happen, they're going to have to change the criteria again. I think, the BCS, had its positives and had its negatives. But why don't we go to something like that, like with all this AI stuff nowadays? Yeah. Why don't we just use something like that to rank the 12 teams that need to be in the playoff, or just take the top 12 straight and have it ranked with some kind of computer system or AI or something like that. Simply because the human element, you're always going to have some bias or some thoughts that are outside of maybe what really should happen. So, that would be a simple solution in my mind.
Yeah, the biggest thing too is like there's so many fans, coaches, and players of all these teams that are just like need to be honest about their team's situation online. Like, I think if I'm Notre Dame, I'm not mad about Miami because you lost them, yes, at Miami, but you still lost. That's head-to-head and same record. And I know, your losses might be better if you want to quantify that, but still head-to-head at the end of the day should always reign supreme, in my opinion. However, if I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm pretty irate about Bama getting in.
Yeah.
Bama's resume is not impressive. They didn't really beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. I think Auburn kind of beat themselves not to insult you guys. There were so many things that.
There's a couple penalties in that game too that were a little tiny bit of suspect. But that's how it goes
with the Bama games.
But you could see with the playoff. As I just said, they were really just limping in through the rest of that season. And obviously put them in the playoff over Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame takes their ball and goes home like a bunch of babies, in my opinion. Yep. You didn't get in your butt hurt about it, but to just say I'm gonna take out of a bowl game just seems like an overreaction.
But the AD was like, with no disrespect to Pop-Tarts. Okay,
Pop-Tarts Bowl is one of the best with the mascot that comes out of the toaster. And then you had all these other teams that were 5 and 7 teams that they had to have somebody else not go to a bowl or, to fill the bowl spots. I kind of understand, obviously there's a lot of money. You get 15 more practices, all that stuff when you play in a bowl game. But if I was the coach, I'd be like, we didn't earn this bowl bid, so why would we accept it? We didn't become bowl eligible at 6 wins, so I really don't have an issue with those teams potentially, opting out of bowl games simply because if you feel like you didn't earn it, then maybe you shouldn't play in it.
True, but if you're at least I think it's cool for the smaller schools if they accept it, because that's still a cool, you're on the national platform for whatever game it is. And how many starters you're playing against, I don't know, but
in those bowl games, you get a lot of really cool stuff when you go to those too. So it's kind of an experience. They take really good care of you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, if I played for Western Michigan, I'd be like, heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, no, let's go to the Hawaii Bowl and have a great vacation.
Yeah, spend some extra time there. I think honestly, what bothered me the most, and I didn't really see a lot of BYU stuff on social media. I don't know, maybe it's just a very polite fan base, but
that's fair.
Yeah. One of my cousins is like, yeah, do you think when BYU got knocked out from that Big 12 championship, there's a crash out, they go home and they're gonna have a coffee? But I think the biggest losers online were the Vanderbilt, Texas crowd. Texas, you're still out in my opinion at 10-2. That Ohio State loss, yeah, that stinks, but what? Look at your resume and look at the scope of the games you won in overtime. You were not an impressive team by any means or any stretch. And I hate the stat frames. Vandy does this big time with Pavia since November 1st. It's hey, it's a full season. You didn't play well against Bama. And who's their other loss to again? Texas. Where Texas beat the brakes off them, started playing prevent defense for a while, and Vandy scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which is great. Looks good in the box score. It's a box score merchant though. You got killed. So I don't know.
And what's crazy, Bama has 3 losses too now. Texas has 3 losses. Vandy only has 2 losses. So it's clearly not just based on your record. I get it, strength of schedule, quality wins, but I think more so they looked at how bad some of your losses were. Bama's Florida State loss, in my opinion, alone should have kept them out of the college football playoff. Obviously their running back is injured as well, Jam Miller, and that really you saw that in the Georgia game. They couldn't even move the football.
-3 rush yards?
Yeah. Something like that. It's pretty crazy. Your current odds to win the national championship through Hard Rock: Ohio State at +250, Indiana at +260, the Georgia Bulldogs +550, Oregon Ducks +850, Texas Tech +850, the Aggies +1400, 14-1, Miami 20-1, Alabama 22.5-1. If that doesn't tell you anything right there, I don't know what does. Ole Miss the same thing, 22.5-1. And then if you want to get 50-1, you could do the Oklahoma Sooners. And then if you're feeling frisky, Tulane is +250-1. And then James Madison, which I think should be higher than Tulane in my opinion, +600-1. What's a realistic one you would take there, Max, that has good value in your opinion?
Well, I think the James Madison one is just worse because Oregon's so much better than Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I think that's the only reason. It's
their route's much tougher.
But I agree with you. I think James Madison's got a lot more teeth to them. Best value there. Man. Okay. Can you give me those top 5 again?
Yep. Ohio State +250, Indiana +250, Georgia +550, Ducks +850, Red Raiders +850, Texas A&M 14-1, Miami 20-1. That was more than 5.
I'll say the Ducks. I think I think the winner of that game, that's going to be the toughest one. Ohio State obviously clear favorites still. That team is an NFL roster.
Yep.
But
no
getting
doubt.
Georgia, that's a buzzsaw right there. So I think the Oregon, it's a cold take, but Oregon Texas Tech game I think is going to be pretty determined, and that value is going to drop right away to 350.
Yeah,
so whoever
absolutely.
wins.
So if you can get it before that, be a good opportunity for sure.
Yeah, whoever you think's going to win, Oregon Texas Tech, I guess.
Yep. Texas A&M, who was a pretty good SEC team until that final game, 14-1 on that one too, is pretty solid.
But they draw Ohio State game too, right?
Yep, they did.
Doesn't Miami have the highest graded D line in the?
I think so.
Football?
Yep. And they got
how's A&M's O line? Probably pretty good. Probably pretty expensive, right?
Pretty expensive, is no doubt. They got some big boys up on that front line, but again, it's always going to come down to the trenches. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get Keith Fleming on the line, and then we'll finish up later, Max, with some Heisman Trophy stuff. But we're about to dive into some NFL stuff here with Keith. I will go ahead and get him on the line. We've got Keith Fleming on the line, our DFS, not DMX, Side things, DMX had a Christmas song for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I was enlightened by that the other day. It was pretty wild. Keith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. My attention span just bounces around a little bit there. But let's talk a little NFL football, and then we'll finish with your first look at your official lineup for Week 15 of the NFL slate, which is crazy. We're here already. The AFC seems to have been completely flipped upside down from what we're normally used to. The Chiefs. The Bills are still leading their division, but certainly struggling a
Well,
little.
they're on the Pats, so
Yeah.
they're not even leading their division either.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned that the Pats too as well. Just kind of coming. I don't want to say out of nowhere. I feel like it's been trending for it a little bit, but the emergence of Drake May has certainly been good for them. The Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to make the playoffs as they currently lead the division. They haven't really been too relevant here recently, and then of course the Jacksonville Jaguars now have a 1-game lead over the Houston Texans, which will be interesting to see how that kind of shapes out. And I know the Jags and the Texans have both made the playoffs in recent years. Now their first game haven't ended too well. What do you think? Is this surprising to you, or is it just a matter of time that this was going to kind of happen, where the Chiefs would fade off a little bit, Bills not winning the division anymore, and kind of just this shift a little bit in the AFC specifically? Because I know in the years prior we were talking about how good the AFC is compared to the NFC, and now it seems to be the opposite way.
I don't know if that last part is necessarily true because I still think the AFC is tougher at the top. I think the first thing to look at is just coaching, like New England, who is 10-2. Everybody rightfully has talked about how great Drake May is, but we need to talk about the job Mike Vrabel's done.
Yep, absolutely.
And how he's turned around that team. Typical Mike Vrabel team, they allow no rushing yards at all. Like, they're so good versus the run. And then the same thing, honestly, with Jacksonville. They went out and hired Liam Cohen, who had done such a good job the last few years as a offensive coordinator. You look at the Bucs offense this year. I know they've had injuries and stuff, but they were so unstoppable last year, and they're kind of struggling. Obviously, Jacksonville's thriving. And then, like, the Texans and the Bills, I think, are the two teams that are the biggest benefactors of potentially, like, the Ravens, the Chiefs, missing the playoffs. Joe Burrow and the Bengals is 4 out of 6 years. They have missed the playoffs with Joe Burrow, which is just, come on, Cincinnati. What are we doing? Spend some money, get a good coach. But anyway, I just think that the Bills, like, this is what Josh Allen probably needs. He has an opportunity to not have to mess with Patrick Mahomes. I know he beat Lamar Jackson, on the way last year, but he can kind of get a clear path. He's going to have so much more experience than most of the other teams in the playoffs, like that Bills team will. And I think the Texans at plus 650 to win the AFC is a great value.
Their defense, too, is spectacular. DeMeco Ryans' second year, who was obviously the Niners' defensive coordinator and did a wonderful job there, has got that team on defense anywhere playing really, really well.
They were killing Chiefs left and right. Like, literally some of the biggest hits you'd ever see on Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice.
That one on Rashid Rice from I think it was their free safety. There was a great angle, and I saw you could just kind of see it coming, and he just played that play beautifully, and just his limbs were flying everywhere after he got hit. I was like, Rashid Rice needs to put a little more meat on his bones, or he's going to keep taking hits like that from the Texans.
It's not fun getting hit by a fast drive-by, huh?
No, not at all.
Rice.
Well, that's why I don't play
went over
football.
my head.
Ryan is somebody who needs meat on his bones. That's exactly why I don't play football. But I like this Texans team. They, the offense is getting better. They've sort of developed into this pass first team. They're now 6th in the league in pass attempts per game. They've got multiple weapons with Jaden Higgins, Dalton Schultz. We know Nico Collins is an absolute freak. And I think they have a legit chance to win the AFC. And I know it's not what the league wants to hear, but we can get some crazy Super Bowl combos this year for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly as wild as it's been. It's kind of been like that most of the season, but now it's really starting to get to that point where the playoff picture is starting to take shape, and there's a lot of teams that haven't been in the playoffs before that have an opportunity to be in the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, is the Chiefs dynasty coming to an end? I don't want to say is the Chiefs dynasty over. I want to say is the Chiefs dynasty coming to an end?
I think this version of the Chiefs with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, it's dead. Like I think this is it. They what do you say? Ran it to the wheels fell off. So
I mean, they've had a
uh,
hell of a run. I think, 10 straight AFC West titles, which that'll obviously come to an end this season.
yeah,
Secondary
I mean,
question on this. You think Travis Kelsey is going
just
to retire after this year?
he should. If he wants to be remembered as the Travis Kelsey that, was unstoppable, I don't think he needs to play another season. And then this happens to everybody. Like Father Time is undefeated. Don't get
Yep.
me wrong, but
That's why Gronk
he is
retired a
definitely
few years ago.
Yeah.
right. And he has definitely lost a step. Like there's no doubt about that. And that's one of the big reasons that they struggle is they have talented wide receivers. I'm not really sure what's up with Mahomes. He can't seem to push the ball down the field, at least with accuracy, like he used to. And it's a shame because they got some good weapons for down the field. But, especially when they face zone heavy teams, used to that was Kelsey. That him and Mahomes wouldn't even have a route design. They would just kind of feel each
Yep.
other out, and it
He'd
seemed to
find a spot.
always
Mahomes would always
get
find him.
open. Exactly. So I do think that it's fair to say that this version of the Chiefs is dead, but we've seen this with Tom Brady in New England. They're going to, because they have Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah, and Andy Reid.
come up with a new game plan. Yep. And, I wouldn't be surprised if, in 2 or 3 years, they're right back at the top just with a new cast of characters.
Yep, absolutely. That was certainly the Patriots' mantra, for sure. Getting back to Josh Allen and the Bills, how bad would this Bills team be if Josh Allen wasn't on this particular team? So far, he is responsible for 34 of their 44 touchdowns this season. I believe that includes him rushing and him passing. So only 10 touchdowns this season have been somebody else where Josh Allen wasn't involved.
He's unreal, man. I don't really have enough good things to say about Josh Allen at this point. I think he's the best quarterback in the game,
Yes.
which that was, really controversial to say at the beginning of the year. I get that, but Josh Allen has played great in the playoffs. Have they won? Not everything, but it's not because of Josh Allen. He's done everything he can. He now has 3 career games with at least 3 touchdowns passing and 1 rushing and 75 yards on the ground. That breaks a tie with Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick for the most games in the Super Bowl era. He also, the 3 passing touchdowns away from a 3rd straight season with 25 plus passing touchdowns and 12 or more rushing touchdowns. No other player in NFL history has done that. And you said it. He's accounted for 34 of the 44 touchdowns. They would definitely struggle without him. But I will say that, like, you can take almost any of these top quarterbacks
Yep.
and you remove them, it's going to be difficult to win. That's why the guys are paid the most. And, teams will take chances on quarterbacks that are like, what are we doing? Because it's the most important position in football.
No doubt.
Keith, if I'm the Bills, though, I'm praying that the Texans don't win that division because Matt Burke has had Josh Allen's number back-to-back years in games now. And I don't know what it is for them, but outside of Mahomes in the playoffs, that's been his kryptonite. If you look at his stats in 24 against the Texans and then this year, I mean, that's like the only time you ever see Josh Allen really lay an egg. And I know it's that Texans havoc defense. I think they blitz 18 or 20% more than anyone in the league. But I'd be praying you draw the Jaguars because I think they're just kind of like the Dolphins of prior years, just kind of a paper tiger where I think the Bills would have no problem beating the Jaguars. However, if the Texans can swoop into that 3 seed and the Bills stay set in that 6, I'd be very worried about them.
And
Well, I think go ahead, Ron.
Keith. I was just going to say, fair to say that this year is lining up. If the Bills don't do it this year, what year are they going to do it?
Yeah.
The Chiefs are not an issue. The Bengals are not an issue. The Ravens are not an issue. So his path to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl is probably as easy as it's been since he's been playing professional football. Fair to say that?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, personally, I think his head coach would have to get fired if they don't win a Super Bowl, because at some point your years are running out with Josh Allen. You need to
your
change
window
something.
is going to close here pretty soon.
Exactly. Like I think the Ravens window has closed, which
Agreed.
is, sad to say that. I think the Lions window has closed. Sad to see, but like this is what happens. It doesn't take, long. So you got to take your chances. I will say, like, yes, Buffalo though could get the benefit of it if they don't win the division. It could be very likely that Houston goes to New England for the 2-7 matchup. And I think that would be a dream scenario for them because that would knock out one of those two teams. Houston wins. It would be home at Buffalo. And Allen has struggled against them, but we're seeing the one way to kind of get at this Texans team is these running quarterbacks. We saw how much Mahomes did on the ground. Allen did not run a lot in their first matchup. I would expect him to run a ton if they see each other again in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's gonna be exciting one way or the other. I think this parity creates more excitement than we've had in prior years because AFC Championship Chiefs Bills was kind of on repeat for several years, and then on the other side, Niners Philly, whatever it may be, you had a lot of that very consistently. Obviously, this year's going to be quite different than years prior, and I think that makes for good excitement, and especially if you don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to the Chiefs, the Bills. I mean, obviously the Bills Mafia would love to get a Super Bowl. Have they never won one in franchise history?
Nope.
No. They
That's
had the 4 straight losses
Kelly.
too, man.
that's tough. I remember watching those growing up, and I was like, maybe the Bills will win it this year, and they didn't. They didn't. So yeah, that's tough. So this may be, like you said, Sean McDermott's got to make something happen this year because I know he's as good as they are. He's certainly on the hot seat, and this is the best opportunity, in my opinion, I think they have. Let's talk about those Indianapolis Colts who have had an absolutely spectacular year with Indiana Jones leading the charge. Well, early on in that game, we were actually watching that one when it happened. I immediately said to my friend who was in town, I said he just tore his Achilles tendon because you can kind of see it pop a little tiny bit, and then he slammed it. He knew it too as soon as it happened. That's why he slammed his helmet on the ground. Riley Leonard, former Notre Dame Duke quarterback, came in for Indiana Jones, and he played pretty decently, and then he now got hurt. So they don't have another quarterback right now because Anthony Richardson still has the eye injury, and then, like I said, Riley Leonard got injured in the game on Sunday. So that leads to one of potentially could be the craziest stories of the NFL season. They've got Phillip Rivers, who's a father of 10, also a grandfather, is working out for the Colts in Indianapolis, and he could join the practice squad and then make the 53-man roster. How crazy would that be? Riley Leonard is the same age as one of his kids, and he's potentially coming back to play professional football. So
in fairness, Rivers has like 25 kids, so
10,
it's not that surprising that he'd have one that age.
Yep. He could play a full basketball game with his kids. They would each have 5 on both halves of the court. So I guess my question to you guys is, would Phillip Rivers be a realistic opportunity? I mean, he's been coaching high school football as well, but when you've been out of the league for so long, is he still in shape? Can he still, play at a high level? Obviously, Indy's had a great year. They got a good defense, and of course, they have Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the league as well. So, in y'all's opinion, is this a realistic opportunity for Indy to win a few more games going into the postseason?
Do you want to go first, bro?
Go ahead, Max.
Sure. I love Phillip Rivers, dadgummit, but and also I gotta mention on the 10 kids, Larry David always says once you get past 3, it's just narcissistic. You just love yourself too much. But
trying to create yourself.
But in all seriousness, I do love Phillip Rivers. But I mean, even at the tail end of those Indy days, he kind of had a squirt gun arm, like worse than when Breeze was at the end. And I'd be very shocked to see them succeed with that. Is there any other options that you can come up with outside of Rivers that they can pick up? I know we're past the deadline and everything, so it's too bad you can't get Joey Flacco, but
yeah, or trade for a Trey Lance or something like that.
Totally.
I saw Ben DiNucci go like what was it? He showed up at a flag football game.
I saw that
That's
too.
just some Joe Schmo and just gunned it all over the place. So maybe they can call Ben DiNucci. Who knows?
Is DeVito still in the league too?
He might be a free agent.
I know his agent really upset a lot of people last year, which is not going to do, backup quarterbacks any favors to get on rosters.
What's the rules on practice squad people? Are they just off limits still if they're on another team's practice squad, or how is that?
I don't know that answer. I don't know if you can pick up. I mean, I think that team would have to cut them from their practice squad,
That's
right?
what would have to happen.
Okay.
And then they'd have to clear. Would they have to clear waivers first before you could pick them
I was
up?
thinking because I have a mutual friend on a practice squad, Trevor Siemian, Northwestern legend. Bring him in.
There you go. I mean, maybe Phillip Rivers is the only option, but we'll certainly see how it
They're
plays
just
out.
looking for an adult, is what they're looking for. I mean,
Yeah,
you
there
can
you
see it
go.
already. They're going to run it with Jonathan Taylor a ton. I don't think they're going to ask Rivers to throw it down the field. They do have receivers to where you can move the ball that way with Tyler Warren and Josh
Yep,
Downs. Again, I'm not saying that Rivers
it's gonna
is
come
the
in and
answer,
win 4 games.
but
Yeah,
I mean, I really believe Shane Steichen's a great coach. And one thing he really excels at is getting the most out of his quarterback. So it would not shock me if he comes in and they really just need 2 wins and they're probably gonna get in the playoffs. I think 10-7 gets you in even in the AFC.
Do you think though? Because I think well, so they have to beat the Texans, right? Because the only other like spot that I feel like is on the fritz is the AFC North spot.
Well, you don't think that the Chargers could still miss the playoffs?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know what's the end of their schedule look like.
I mean, if the offensive line looks the way it has the last 2 weeks, it's a
didn't they
minor
lose another
miracle.
lineman too
Yes,
last
That's
night?
true.
it's just unbelievable. I mean, poor Justin Herbert, he's gonna get killed.
Yeah.
That was a gritty win, but I worried they could not win a game rest
Yeah.
of the season.
You're right, Keith, because they go at Kansas City, at Dallas, at home for Houston, and then at Denver. And it depends if Denver's playing for anything, I guess.
They might not be if they got the division locked up. So they could rest some players, rest Bo Nix, rest some of the running backs and all
'cause
that.
it's codependent, right, on the Patriots record, right? For
Yeah.
that 1 seed.
Yep.
So you're right, Keith.
Couple quick ones
Well,
before you
we'll
got to go,
see.
Keith, because I
I
know
mean,
you got to
maybe-
go right
maybe
at
not, but
right
yeah,
at
you're
12
good.
o'clock our time. I know because they said this has never happened since 1978 that since they've been tracking fantasy stuff that a player has had -4 points on one play, and that happened to me last night. And I missed the playoffs by a 4/100ths of a point, and Jalen
Oh.
Hurts got me a -4 on one play. If he doesn't fumble it the second time, obviously he threw the pick and then it got fumbled, and then he got the ball and then he fumbled it. So even if he doesn't fumble that other one, I still make the playoffs. But pretty wild stuff to have -4 points on one play. I know that's never happened before, but certainly pretty
That's
wild.
karma, Ryan, is what that is for the tush push and
Yeah.
the way Jalen
Ball don't
Hurts
lie,
has
right?
scored so many fantasy points. Like if anybody deserved to do that, it'd be a Philadelphia Eagle and Jalen Hurts.
So follow-up question, is the Eagles offense broken beyond repair?
I think so, just because I don't think Saquon Barkley's the same guy that he used to be. It seems like that all the touches last year were like kind of the last juice he had. I mean, I know he just had a good game, and so you're going, why are you saying that, Keith? And it's like
If you look at the whole
because
season,
he just doesn't look the same. Like even last night, he just doesn't have the explosive runs. That was what made their offense so good last year. Is he had, I believe it was 11 rushes of 40 yards or more,
I
and
think
8
that's
of them
right.
were for touchdowns. So I mean, that's 3 points, and it's rare to see running backs do that.
And that just opens
level.
up your entire offense when that
Exactly.
is an option that could happen that you have to play against. All right, couple
Who
quick
do you
more.
guys think has more juice in the tank? Sorry, Saquon or Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry, he's a freak.
His off-season routines are insane. Is Shador Sanders a viable fantasy option?
Yes. As long as he's starting. I had this argument last night on the Optimus Fantasy Waiver Wire show. I think that he probably should be the number one ad of the quarterbacks that are available in every single league. He's using his legs. He's been very effective throwing the ball down the field. And the good news is the Browns defense has all of a sudden decided they're going to stop playing defense,
Yep.
which is a really good sign for, fantasy quarterbacks, because when you get down, you can start chucking, which is, obviously what you want. I mean, it's shocking that Titans were just scoring at will against Cleveland. That's one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
Yep.
But I'm serious. I've been impressed with what Shador's done. Like he's got, some accuracy issues, but it's also just his first few starts. I mean, it's like what I think him and Aaron Rodgers are the only 2 players in NFL history to have 3 touchdown passes of over 40 yards in their first 3 career starts. So, I mean, that's a pretty good list to be on.
True.
I know
but
you're picking
the
one
screen to
line,
Samson
but
though too.
it's not bad. I mean, that's fine. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that there's plenty of touchdowns that these
That's true.
guys are, the quarterbacks are not doing much. So I think a lot of people hate him. I understand that, but he's pretty good. And it's ridiculous. He must have been that bad in interviews and everything else to be the college player that he was and to see what he's done the first 3 games and that wait to the 5th round. And so many teams that were desperate for quarterbacks not take him.
Yeah. Oh, Keith, Phillip Rivers just got signed by the Colts at age 44.
Oh yeah, he'll be starting Sunday.
The first grandparent to ever play football. Well, maybe not the first grandparent that I know of to ever play football in the NFL. Keith, 2 more quick questions. Talking about pickups, most leagues are going into the playoffs starting this week. What are some good pickups to help, kind of push you through the playoffs?
Harold Fanning Jr. is the biggest one. He has just feasted since Shador took over. I mean, he's been good actually, to be fair,
Rookie to
all
rookie.
season. Yeah, and I mean, it's just so the 3 games, 25% target share, that would be tight end 1. Over 65 receiving yards, that would be tight end 2, and 15.4 fantasy points per game. That would be tight end 2. So, Njoku's been banged up.
Yep.
And I think that Fannin is a great option rest of season. The other guy that I would look at is somebody like Devin Singletary, because again, we're looking for people that are available. The reason I say this, I still think the Giants' offense is going to be decent with Jackson Dart, but they're not going to allow him to take the hits near the goal line. If you notice, he didn't have any rushes from inside the 5, at least not designed runs in his first game back from injury. I think it's going to be that way rest of the season. Devin Singletary has been getting all the volume inside the 5 since Scatterboo got hurt. I think there's a decent chance he scores some rushing touchdowns.
Yep, absolutely. And last but not least, what is your first look official lineup for DFS slate for Week 15?
You got it. It's actually a really good one with no buys. You got extra games, but I'm going back to the well. Dart at quarterback, 5,600. He finally broke a streak of 18 points or more, but that was against a good defense. Washington is not. We saw J.J. McCarthy,
Light them up.
that guy have his best game against them. And even with the 13.6 point start scored in his last start, he's averaging 23.4 fantasy points per game over his last 6.
Poor Commanders fans, they went from, not very good to beating the Lions in the first round of the playoffs to right back to not very good. Tough road there for the Commanders.
Brian,
fans.
I keep trying to tell you, there's winning franchises and losing franchises.
You do.
CMC, 9K versus Tennessee, death taxes, playing CMC in cash.
See, if I just could have made it to the playoffs, I would have blown my opponent out this week, those 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, man. That's tough.
4 100ths of a point. I'm going to remember that forever.
Oh, I know. I can tell. You've mentioned it 6 times since we've been on here.
Yeah,
So
I'm not done either.
It's like I need a therapy session. I'm going to go ETN for the other back, 6,500, scored 19 points or more, 3 or 4, 5 touchdowns in that span. And this is a Jets D that just allowed HN to gain over 100 yards on 8 touches in the first half with a touchdown. He exited with an injury. Jalen Wright went in and had 24 for 107 and a touchdown.
Jets
and they're
are
like,
gonna jet.
let's just get that trifecta of running backs. And then Ollie Gordon was the third Dolphins to score against them. They've been awful against the run. Remember, Bijan had 180 against them 2 weeks ago.
Dolphins haven't lost since they fired their GM.
They have not. 6 and 7, same as Chiefs.
Wow.
6
Just throwing
7.
some fun facts
AJ
in there.
Brown, 6,800 versus Vegas. The Eagles are struggling. Browns not. 46 targets his last 4, double digit in all of them. 31 receptions in that span. All of a sudden, 100 plus receiving yards in 3 straight, averaging almost 29 points per game in that span. Andrea Yosheva, if T. Higgins does not play, if he doesn't, I do like this very much. 4,100 versus Baltimore. He has scored double digits in each of his last 2 games that one of those 2 guys have missed. I would pivot to Jalen Coker if that doesn't work out. And then Puka Nacua, 8,700 is the third receiver. Since missing week 8, 7 plus receptions, 4 6. In 31 targets his
The
last
Rams
3
are
games.
so good, it's scary.
Yeah.
So by gaining over 150 receiving yards, it's the 8th instance in his young career. He passed Randy Moss, who had 7 games in his first 3 seasons. He's now tied with Justin Jefferson, 1 more, and he will have that record. And he also just surpassed the NFL record for most receptions in your first 40 games. The tight ends, Isaiah Likely, you want tight end
Go
twos
Shants.
playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Tight end twos this season, 3.3 targets per game, 35 receiving yards per game, 8 fantasy points per game. No surprise, Likely scored 13.5 points first time he faced him. Theo Johnson is my flex, double-digit points in 5 of 8 dart starts. Dart
Dart
targets
starts.
tight ends 25% of the time. And then the defense, real quick, Bengals, they're playing pretty good. Scored 10, 12, and 4 points over the last 3, and those were against New England, Baltimore, and Buffalo. Definitely not bad defenses.
Absolutely. Keith, well, we appreciate your time as always, and good luck with your meeting coming up. Some great insight there from Keith and a great DFS lineup for Week 15 coming up. Before we talk a little bit more about the college football playoff, I did want to mention, that in NFL Countdown yesterday, they announced the top 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy. The presentation will be coming up this Saturday at 5:30 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone on ESPN. And of course, you'll have your winner and your presentation. The 4 finalists are we got Jeremiah Love. I almost said Jordan Love. Jeremiah Love. He's from St. Louis, Missouri. He's fourth nationally in rushing yards with 1,372. 5th in yards per game at 114.33, and is 3rd with 18 rushing scores. Love, who had 27 receptions for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns, is also 4th nationally in all-purpose yards and 2nd nationally with 21 touchdowns. He scored at least 1 touchdown in each of his final 11 games. Love's 21 touchdowns surpassed Jerome Bettis' school record for the most in a regular season. That was back in 1991. Next is what's his first name? I was going to say Alex, but it's not. It's Fernando Mendoza. Sorry for butchering that there for you, Max. I know you're the Indiana guy.
It's okay.
It's good that you're
His
not
brother's
offended.
like Alejandro.
Yep. Who's also on the team.
Alejandro.
Mendoza, a redshirt junior from Miami, Florida, is the 2025 Big Ten Offensive Player and Quarterback of the Year. Also a Big Ten first-team quarterback who led Indiana to the Big Ten Conference Championship victory over Ohio State and is now the number 1 seed heading into the college football playoff. Mendoza, in his first year at Indiana after transferring from California, led the Hoosiers to a 13-0 record and the program's first ever number 1 rating. He threw for 2,980 yards and 33 touchdown passes with just 6 interceptions. I think he had 1 in the game against Ohio State.
On the screen.
Yep. He's also added 240 yards rushing for another 6 touchdowns. He's ranked 6th nationally in total touchdowns accounted for in 39 and a quarterback rating of 181.39. Next, you've got Diego Pavia. He's a graduate senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is his 2nd year with the Commodores. He led them to a 10-win season for the first time in program history. He's the 2025 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winning, completing 242 out of 340 passes for a school record, 3,192 yards and 27 touchdowns, tied for 8th nationally. He had a completion percentage of 71.2, which is also 8th nationally. The big thing is he also rushed for 826 yards and 9 scores. He is tied for 4th nationally in total touchdowns accounted for at 36. He threw for over 300 yards 4 times, including a career high of 484 yards and 5 touchdowns against Kentucky, 377 against Auburn, and 365 against Texas, which I believe they lost that game. He also ran for over 100 yards twice, including a season finale win over rival Tennessee with a season-best 165 yards on the ground, as well as 112 over to win against Auburn. He rushed for 1,627 yards in his Vanderbilt career. And then last but not least is Julian Sayin, a sophomore from Carlsbad, California. Led the Buckeyes to a 12-run record and number 1 ranking for most of the season, a berth in the Big Ten championship game. He also won Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Sayin leads the country in QB rating at 182.05. He also passed for 3,329 yards, and his 31 touchdown passes are tied for 2nd nationally. He's also 1st in the nation with completion percentage at 78.4. He was 280 of 357, which includes 4 games completing better than 85% of his passes. Sayin threw at least 1 touchdown pass in every game this season and had just 6 interceptions. He passed for over 300 yards 6 times and passed for 4 touchdowns in 3 different games. He helped the Buckeyes' 4-game losing streak to rival Michigan with 233 yards and 3 scoring passes. And those are your 4 Heisman finalists. So when I talk about Heisman, I always say, who do you think deserves it and who do you think is going to win it?
Well,
I think
I'm a
Jordan.
little
Well,
biased.
yeah, you're very biased. I'm going to say I think Jordan Love should win it.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah Love, thank you, should win it, and then I think Diego Mendoza is going to win it. Fernando. That's bad.
I love it.
That's tough.
No, I like it. Yeah, I mean, the most impressive thing with Jeremiah Love too is he still split a good bit of carries with Jadarian Price, who's also a stud. Like that guy's a top 3 round pick. I hope the Bears take him. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know my answer. It's gonna be Fernando Mendoza
for both.
And it's hard because yes, Pavia puts up the numbers. Yes, so does Jeremiah Love. Now I'm gonna say Jordan.
Sorry,
but when you look at Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin, those guys, and I know it's not a win-loss thing. It's not like, I mean, I know that's factored in, especially when it's older heads voting on some of the stuff. But it's not like, pitchers where you can determine win-loss, like a football player either.
Black and white.
But yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, a lot of those games too, they're so dominant that they're sitting by the mid-third quarter and the third quarter. So there's a lot of missed stats there, and I mean, you almost are punished by having a better defense as well, which obviously ends up with a wider margin in the score. So where Vanderbilt's going tit for tat for almost the whole game. Obviously, Pavia is going to put up a little bit of higher numbers, and I do think Pavia is worthy of being at the stand. However, when it comes,
I'm glad he got invited too.
Me too.
So fun to watch.
Yeah, he is. He's like a WWE villain, like his stuff. And he does throw blocks too, which I respect. Like that guy is very selfless. It kind of reminds me of Tim Tebow when he would throw some blocks too. And Tim Tebow's like the strongest quarterback I've ever seen. But with that being said, I do think Julian Sayin does have the benefit of all-pro. NFL
every
style
player
O-line.
on the offense.
Yeah, he's got the best wide receiver in football. Carnell Tate's also a first-round pick this year. And then with Mendoza, I mean, I think he won that award from a couple throws. The one to Surratt on the touchdown pass, and then a couple to Becker, where I was like, on that third and six.
Third and 6 down the sideline was beautiful.
Yeah, do or die. And I know
it was a game-winning pass. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, obviously, I'm as a Hoosier want him to win, but I do think he is.
He'd be your first in history, right?
Oh yeah, and probably the only that I'll see in
you
my
never
lifetime.
know. They're doing a lot better now, so they might start pulling these big time QBs.
That's true, and I don't know where he'll go in the NFL, but I do hope. I mean, I do think he's a franchise quarterback in the right situation. He clearly.
With that interview at the end of the game, you can tell that that's a guy you want in your locker room and you want around your players for sure.
And he was like on with Urban Meyer like 2 weeks early, and Urban Meyer was like, this is like the first time I've enjoyed interviewing a player, because he was talking about how, and this is stuff you would understand because I don't get football to the granular level that you do on coaching and stuff, but it was like, something about, you got the free safety joker sliding in here, and Urban Meyer's like, son, that is the best answer I've ever heard. I would love to be in the quarterback room with you, blah, blah, blah.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, and, that was cool.
But yeah, I mean, the guy cares, and he did say like 2 weeks prior, he's like, my wide receivers get lit up. My guys are in the trenches. My running backs get hit. He's like, I can't get up from a few hits. What does that say to them? Like, I will die on the field for them. And I do believe he is one of those guys.
I mean, I feel like he almost did on that first play of the game, and it looked like he just got the wind knocked out of him. I don't think anybody ever really talked about what exactly happened, but based on
I think that's what
where he got hit and how he went down, it was that you just can't get your breath after that happens.
I bet he had a helmet mark on his rib cage or something.
Probably. That was a wicked hit.
After the throw, too, exposing yourself. I mean, it was a clean hit by Curry. It might have been a hair late if you want to really go, but I mean, real time, I think that's fine. Let the boys
go either way, for sure. And Vegas certainly agrees. They have Fernando Mendoza listed as the favorite. Different books have anywhere from plus 115 to plus 125.
Oh, so not definitive at all, though, still.
But, I mean, compared to Julian Sayin, he's plus 140 to plus 200 based on the books. And then Diego Pavia currently third at plus 185 to plus 300. And then Jeremiah Love, like we kind of said, this is typically a quarterback award on the team that's, the best in the country. Plus 1,000 to plus 5,000. So certainly from Vegas and what we were just talking about, looks like it's Fernando Mendoza's trophy to win. But time will tell. Again, that's going to be this Saturday coming up at 5:30 Central Time on ESPN. What do you think about conference championship games? Do you think they stay around, or do you think they go away? Based on what we talked about earlier on the show, is one team got punished for losing their conference championship game, the other one did not. So you think teams would want to play in them less?
Because they used to have a lot more merit when it was the 4 team. Because like, okay, this is like a key data point, and now, but now it's so arbitrary. If Alabama can just get the brakes beat off them, and
Yep, still get in.
Didn't skip a beat.
And then BYU, makes it to their game, obviously gets smoked, but gets smoked by what ended up being the number 4 ranked team in the country, and they get bounced out of the playoff. My kind of solution to that, I think conference championship games are going to become null and void simply because they don't carry what they used to carry.
Yeah.
Have some play-in games. You're 13. That adds more games, and they're probably not going to want that, but that would be a solution in my mind. Have like your 12 or 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 play, like 10 versus 16, 11 versus 15, and let them play it out to see who gets in. Obviously, they're not going to want to play another game, but that in my mind would be a legitimate solution to a clear problem with the committee and the criteria.
DraftKings actually updated their Heisman odds too, except you can't do it. You can't bet on a New Jersey player per usual. Fernando Mendoza is -1,000 now, and Pavia is +600.
-1,000, dang.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, if you would have scooped Mendoza up, that probably would have been a good bet. But obviously, he pretty much won the Heisman this past weekend. Real quick before we go, we got some huge middle school games coming up this afternoon on the middle school girls basketball side of things. Obviously, I've been talking about University Academy all year. It culminates this afternoon at 4 o'clock over at the Fish Bowl. Probably one of the best, loudest venues now in Bay County since we've had a gym built on campus. Both Bay Haven and University Academy are 8-0 at the top of the standings. Playoffs start on Thursday. Winner of this game will be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. You have home court advantage throughout the postseason.
How many teams are in the playoffs?
I think they do all 8 teams.
Awesome.
And it's just straight. They did it a little bit different last year where you kept playing all the way through. This year it's just 1-8. 2, 7, so on and so forth.
Fishbowl's a great name, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine. It's the Jacob Fish Gymnasium because he was very instrumental in getting that built there at University Academy. So it's pretty cool. They named it after him and his 2 kids. All his kids have went there, but his 2 kids that are actually on our flag football team to go to school there right now. So it's pretty cool to have your dad, the gym named after your dad where you go to school. Other games coming up for the girls basketball. You got Rutherford at Bozeman, Mowat at North Bay Haven, Jinx at Surfside. As I mentioned, Bay Haven at University Academy, Breakfast Point at Merritt Browns. There's still some seating to be determined, but if you want to go watch some girls middle school basketball in what will be a very loud venue for the blackout this afternoon at 4 p.m., head over there to University Academy in the Jacob Fish Gymnasium, the Fish Bowl as somebody dubbed it. And then on the boys soccer side of things, currently University Academy 6-1, followed by Surfside, Breakfast Point, Mowat, Tyndall Academy, North Bay, Bay Haven, Palm Bay, Rutherford, Merritt Brown, and Jinx. Playoffs start, I believe, on next Tuesday for the boys. They still have a couple more games to play. They have a game this afternoon, or they have games this afternoon at it's Surfside at North Bay Haven, University at Mowat, Tyndall at Merritt Brown, Rutherford at Jinx, Breakfast Point Academy at Bay Haven. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong date. I'm glad I noticed. Rutherford at University Academy, Breakfast Point at Surfside, Bay Haven at Palm Bay, Jinx at North Bay Haven, Merritt Brown at Mowat, Tyndall Academy has a bye, and then their regular season finishes on Thursday. I'll talk about that more on Thursday. But again, we appreciate y'all listening. In episode 30 of the Inside Drive podcast, it'll be posted on our podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you consume your podcast. Of course, we were live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate our sponsors. Go buy a gift card from American Charlie's or Firefly. We'll announce our American Charlie's Athlete of the Week for 2 weeks coming up next week. Max, appreciate you jumping on, and good luck with your new business, and good luck with the new baby.
Thank you.
A lot of new stuff in your life going on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, of course. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Sports show around. So.
Well, we appreciate that, and I appreciate people coming on that have a deep knowledge of sports, so it's always a pleasure to talk to you about sports.
Touché.
Again, y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.